Let's talk about pre-labor versus true labor. What's the difference and which one is going to bring the birth of your baby? I'm Annabelle, nurse, birth doula, and mama, and I'm here to build your confidence in birth. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and ring that bell to stay up to date to my latest content. What's the difference between pre-labor or prodromal labor or false labor, 3 different names there, and true active labor? What's the big deal? Aren't they both labor, and aren't both of them going to lead to the birth of your baby? No, unfortunately not. And a lot of mamas do experience prodromal labor before they actually get to active labor. So let's talk about pre-labor contractions first. This is sometimes called false labor contractions, prodromal labor, and then Braxton Hicks contractions get grouped in there sometimes too. But let's just throw that one out. So we threw Braxton Hicks contractions out, but if you're curious about what are Braxton Hicks contractions, I've done another video on that. I'm going to link it in the YouTube cards above. Check it out. Let's move on. So prodromal labor or false labor. Mama, you are probably having intense contractions, abdominal pain where your uterus is squeezing on your baby, but the cervix isn't changing. The cervix at the bottom of your uterus, which is the plug holding your baby in during pregnancy, has to thin out and open up before your baby can be born. And during this pre-labor, these prodromal labor contractions, you're having that squeeze on baby, but your cervix isn't opening. And so it's not true labor. What's happening? Why are you having this intense contraction that's sometimes 10 minutes apart? Every contraction is 10 minutes apart, and sometimes even 5 minutes apart. Oh, that should be active labor, right? Every 5 minutes, that's active labor. But we're not progressing. So you're not increasing in that intensity. Those labor contractions aren't growing in intensity, and that 5 or 10 minutes isn't getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And those contractions aren't getting longer and longer and longer. And then maybe labor even stops. Those prodromal or pre-labor contractions just come to a complete stop altogether. And some mamas experience this for a few hours, a few days, even a few weeks before active labor starts. We don't really know what's happening. Maybe baby is just in a little bit of a cockeyed position and your uterus is trying to squeeze and move baby into the optimal position for birth. Maybe you're dehydrated and you need to drink more water. Maybe you've been in a weird position and you need to change positions, or you need to get up and walk. We don't really know what's happening. So my encouragement to you, if you are experiencing prodromal labor or pre-labor contractions, is to keep a healthy mindset, continue to meditate and think about your labor groove and how you're gonna get in your labor groove. Make sure you're using your birth ball, make sure you're walking, you are doing some side lying, and you're just trying to move to get baby in the optimal position, because that might be a reason that you're just not getting this really consistent labor groove. Getting your labor groove on is so important, and I've done another video on how to get in your labor groove. I'm gonna link that in the YouTube cards above as well, so you can check that out. So what's true active labor? What is the definition of that? How do you know if that's happening to you? So active labor, really from the point where your cervix is about 6 centimeters dilated until it's complete. So you really have an early labor before you get to active labor, where your cervix changes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so that's early labor, but by the time you get to active labor, true labor, you will know it's going to be very intense, and you are going to have to cope through this time. You are going to have contractions that are just this deep, burning, radiating pain from either the front to the back or the back to the front. Maybe some burning sensation down your legs. You might feel overwhelmed, maybe nauseated. You're really using every technique that you have learned through your prepping into active labor. So these contractions, from the start of one contraction to the start of the next contraction, is less than 5 minutes. That contraction from start, peak to end is going to last anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds, give or take. and the intensity is growing and growing and growing, you have to stop and breathe through your contraction. You don't want anybody talking to you. You don't want anything really just annoying you, no loud noises. You are focusing on bringing your baby into this world, and that is active labor. Again, you will have this sensation of, yes, this is it. But to give you the reassurance, have your birth coach timing when your contraction starts, peaks, ends, and then until the next one starts. Is that less than 5 minutes? Did the contraction from start, peak to finish last anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds, give or take? And are you to the point where you're saying, this is painful, I can't talk through this contraction, leave me alone, if anything, rub my back, help me breathe through my contraction, help me relax? And has that whole process been going on for at least 1 hour? At that point, if you haven't had your water break yet, if you're not bleeding, if there are no other concerns after that hour, head to the hospital because you are in active labor and you need your cervix to continue to dilate so that you can push and give birth to your baby. So that's pre-labor contractions versus active labor contractions. Those pre-labor contractions are gonna seem pretty similar to that active labor at first, but as you really take a look at it, those pre-labor contractions are not going to increase in intensity in that timing of that contraction, and that interval is not going to get shorter. Whereas that active labor is going to increase in intensity, frequency, and length of contraction. I hope this clarifies some things for you. I'm here for you. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comment section below. Give me a like if you got a lot of value out of this content. I will see you in the next video.